a Build Hatch developed production.
Hello, I'm Aaron Kyle and welcome to another episode of Build Hatch. On this week's episode of Build Hatch, I got to sit down with Glen from Worx Inductions. The software space in construction is certainly ramping up, and people like Glen who are passionate about the practical solutions which are well overdue in construction. These guys are out there helping put together simple, effective and affordable software programs, and that's what Glen and his team are doing. Glen has a practical background in the plumbing and building industry, and one day decided to lead and work on developing Worx Inductions. He comes from a family with strong family values, and his team behind Worx Inductions are doing some amazing things out there for the industry. You'll get to hear about this shortly. Now let's get into it. Glen Fitzgerald from Worx Inductions, welcome to Build Hatch.
Not a problem, thank you. Great to be on the show.
Always. Now, I'm looking forward to hearing this one. It's very valid and very essential at the moment, particularly in the current state of the world. But like all our guests, we always like to take it back to the very beginning. So whereabouts did you grow up, Glen?
Yeah, so I grew up in Wilton, which is just south of Sydney. It's about 20 minutes from just west of Wollongong. So it's a little bit west, but every chance we got, we'd go down the beach for a surf and try and get out of the area. So for me, learned a lot of skills from my dad when I was younger. Welding and knocking around the shed at home. He's a boilermaker by trade. He done his apprenticeship down at BHP in Wollongong, and then started a small transport company, which he still runs and loves doing today.
So you're a real sort of practical kid.
Oh, definitely. School really wasn't for me, and the first chance I had to get out of there, I took it.
So what did you sort of aspire to be like growing up? What did you want to get into?
Oh, when I was younger, footy was everything for me. So we played footy all my younger years, which I loved, and just lived and breathed it when I was younger, just playing football and knocking around with the boys. So like looking back now, football and team sports is just a great life skill, I think, so build strong relationships with people and the people around you, which I think is a great representation of business now looking back and knowing the people's strengths and weaknesses and working in and around the team environment.
So what did you do after school?
So after school, I was lucky enough to secure a plumbing apprenticeship. So I started a plumbing apprenticeship with a friend from school. Her dad had a small plumbing company going. So I jumped in with him, and first 2 years just doing renovations, small kind of works. And then from there, in my second year, my TAFE teacher actually approached me to come and work for him, which was awesome. He had a really good team and a real knowledgeable environment that we worked in, and that was doing all new residential plumbing. And for me, it really structured, how to run a business and how to operate. So, yeah, I was really lucky in that environment.
And then once you'd finished your apprenticeship, did you stay working as a plumber?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So from there, I started contracting straight after my apprenticeship. And in that time, I was completing my plumbing licence, which is an extra 2 years study doing nights, same as the electrical licence when you're going to get your licence for electrical, which were big days. I remember I was living in Thirroul, and at the time I had to drive to Western Sydney, 2 hours drive, and it was a big day. Like we'd be doing new external drainage on residential houses, or we might have been doing plumbing on the new houses, and then I had to drive 2 hours back to TAFE down in Wollongong to do the night courses.
Yeah, that's tough. How long did you do that for?
Yeah, so 2 years. 2 years while living at Thirroul, and then just commuting back to TAFE and just completing the plumbing licence while I was doing that.
It's one of those things you look back on now and you think, how the hell did you do it?
Yeah, exactly right. You just, those big days, and you're going at it too, like when you're a young bloke, just busting your ass, just on the shovel and getting everything done just so you can get out there in the afternoon,
So you did that. So you did that for 2 years and then got your plumbing license?
Yeah, got the plumbing license. So at 22, we started a plumbing company with a mate that we done our apprenticeship with, actually, with a plumbing teachers company. So we started a plumbing company which we done a wide range of work. So we done civil, residential, and then we ended up moving into the government sector. So it was a great little company, which is still continuing today with a good mate of mine who's still doing quality work now.
I think it's important to flag some key points that you just made then, which is basically how important relationships are. Like you've mentioned a common theme all throughout, a friend from school's dad, and then TAFE teachers, that connection, and then a good friend and the football club and everything else. Like it's so important, the importance of relationships, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. So, yeah, that team environment, like helping each other out and just for a common goal, like just trying to achieve those things that you're trying to achieve and then help each other on the way.
So tell me about Worx Inductions. It's it's a great name. So tell me about the background and how you got started.
Yeah, definitely. So, like for me, for the love of building in that industry, so I got approached towards while I was building anyway with three directors, like-minded with small businesses themselves, each with a diverse area of expertise, so from designing and computer programming through to civil engineering. And we looked to create an online platform to run and help small businesses with their WHS.
So they approached you because, you're very, I guess, practical and you had those relationships. So where was that heading? What was sort of the background to that?
Yeah, so from the background side of it for me, so I had like the building expertise and kind of been in that game. And as soon as they approached me, I knew the need for it in the industry. Like I just knew how hard it is for small businesses, how to go about it, when they're starting out or, they've just got their license or they've moved through, and they're taking that next step. How can we make it simpler and easier to manage their WHS?
How long did it take? Like, explain to me the background from go to woe to getting this product out there, and the trial and error, if you like, the approaching people. How did that come about?
Yeah, so it wasn't an easy process, that's for sure.
It never is.
No, never. So we had a couple good clients early, large clients that we worked with, and really flushed out the system of kind of what you need to get, what you need to cover, and worker requirements as well. So we were really lucky in that aspect. But in saying that, we've been in the testing trials for probably 3 years and really ironed out all those faults. And that's where we're moving on to now, like the systems there ready to go for companies with pretty much, smaller companies, turnkey product, where they can just jump into the system, manages all their contractors and workers, and just their requirements for WHS.
So if I'm a builder or a subby, take me through how easy it is and what's involved. Do you provide a account login and then they set up their profile? Like, explain how that works for people listening to this.
Yeah, definitely. So, we try and the goal is to make it as simple as possible. So, after we set up a company, we do some online training and help videos that then they start to onboard their workers and contractors. So, the contractors are sent an invite to create an account, and then it grabs all the relevant information for that contractor. So, company information, company contractor's license, workers' comp, public liability, WHS evaluations, and then we set up subcontractor agreements for their contractors as well. So it's just a digital version and a paperless system. So the contractor's information is then reviewed and approved by the PCBU, so the host employer. And then once approved, the contractor can then add their workers to the system and complete the specific induction. So with that, it's free for the contractors and gives them the benefit of having the system and using the system. So once all the details are in the portal, all the details are all automated. So say things were looking to expire for their contractor's license, workers' comp, public liability, through the notification process, they get notified, the contractor. At the end of the notification period, the PCBU gets notified, and then they know they need to address those issues.
Now, for anyone listening to this and thinking, what's a PCBU? That's a legal term for person conducting business or undertaking. So that's the head honcho of the company or the proprietor of the business.
Yes, definitely.
You mentioned there it was free for the contractor to use. Is
Yep.
that right? How does that work?
Yeah. So how we've structured it in the construction industry, so you'll have your head contractor, so they're ultimately responsible for all their workers and contractors on site. So with their contractors, we found that if they've got their contractors coming to site, they don't want to pay or think that they need to pay for a system to use that's going to manage their information. So how we've structured it to make it easy for those contractors and workers, they've got free access to the Worx mobile app and their account, which automates it for them, so that they benefit by having access to the system and their information. And then say for the PCBU, we create digital forms and quality assurance forms for that host employer. And then that contractor on site has access to all those digital toolbox talks, workplace inspections, and details they need for site.
So what other, I guess, formats or forms, like if I'm a plumber and operating a plumbing business, what's a typical sort of format, if you like, of how it would look like for me?
Yeah, so we've got plumbing companies on board now. So how we do that, so we set them up as a PCBU. Some plumbing companies have still got contractors, so it's still mandatory for them to grab their contractors' information. So we set that up in the portal. It's there if they want to use it or not. Their workers go through the worker process, so the workers upload all their information into the portal. So it's the same thing. So emergency contact details, white card, construction, contractor's license, additional licenses, so elevated work platform, scaffolding, whatever it might be. We grab all those details, and then it's the same thing. It's all automated in the portal. And then once those details are in there for those workers, they progress through to an induction. We've got a specific building and construction induction in the portal, which they progress through. And then what we do from there, we've got a projects section in the portal as well. So once the guys get to site, we set up site signs for the PCBU. The worker scans that QR code, which is unique to the host employer, recognises it's the first time they've got to site, asks them the site-specific questions, and then from there they can sign in, which is a live sign-in register, and grab all the information and submit digital forms for all there if they need to.
So do you also provide like templates for like existing forms? Or I know New South Wales Work Cover, they put out a generic induction as a template that you can use. Do you do something like that?
Yeah, definitely. So that's, we've got the white card at the moment. So, white cards are kind of a hit and miss thing with me. It's an induction that I've done probably 15 years. I don't even know when I've done my white card. So, what we've got and how we kind of approach it. So definitely for the building construction industry, with our safety consultant, we've set up an induction for building and construction. So the workers remotely, or they can do it from home or wherever, they complete that induction. So they're inducted to the PCBU via that induction. And then when they get to site, they're doing the site-specific induction. And then we do have the standard forms, so toolbox talks, workplace inspections. But then for other clients, we've got, so with ISO systems and different systems, we can set them up for those clients as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems to be an emerging trend at the moment, and I think COVID's played right into your business in that people are now used to checking in, getting out their digital wallet. It's definitely the perfect time for this sort of technology.
Yeah, like COVID hasn't been good for anyone, that's for sure. But the beneficial thing from it, and that's definitely what we're finding at the moment, that is people are knowing how to use their phones.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
they know how to scan a QR code, they know how to get access to information, which is great for us because they're getting their head around how to use the system, and then really getting the benefits from it.
So if I'm sort of listening to this and think, well, I really need to step up my game and move away from pen and paper model of record keeping in terms of inductions, what's involved?
So we work with them. So we try and make it as easy as possible. So if it's a small business, and I've had a few come through, they're just starting out. So I'll look to set them up with the portal, and then all their details are there. All they've got to do is invite their contractors. The induction's set up for them. They've got their digital forms there ready to go, and just kind of give them an overview, like with my background, that they just need to set up a site-specific management plan. At the moment, with the COVID plans, like have them in place and accessible via the QR code on site, and then it's just meeting the criteria for them.
Look, you raised a really important point there, and we're not just talking about induction in terms of work health and safety, but you flagged an important term there, which was a COVID safe plan and
Yep.
navigating the complexities of that. And as funny as it sounds, or it's not really funny, but
Yeah.
the world has shifted where COVID's probably just as important right now as work health and safety on site. Like it's ticking that box and making sure that you've got those COVID safe measures in place on your site.
Yeah, definitely. So, like with that, and it's just paperwork, like we really got to get away from paperwork. So, having it as a digital format where anyone can access it on their phone, and those documents, like in our portal, they're just in the shared file or they're in the projects file. So on site, that worker, they can just scan the QR code and they're approved for that contractor. They can get that information direct on site.
Yeah, look, I'm completely independent, and I like to think I don't push anything. But I guess one of the benefits that I'm seeing in the industry at the moment with this kind of software is a lot of my clients, particularly down in Melbourne, where they're faced with potential $110,000 fine if you've got guys on site and you haven't got a COVID safety plan in place, if you
Yeah,
haven't tried to keep all the records. So if a work cover or work safe authorised officer attends site and says, look, show me what you've got. If you haven't got that there and then, well, that's the difference between him or her going and sniffing around and digging a bit deeper versus just saying, well, look, it's just as simple as showing someone a digital wallet or showing it online. Here's all my guys on site. We've got the plan in place. We've done our inductions. Thank you very much, sir. Enjoy your day. And that's
yeah,
it. That's what you want at the end of the day.
yeah, exactly. And like in that scenario, like we had that 2 weeks ago. So had a great new client come on board, a new builder, a really good young builder. We had work cover come to site, and we ran them through that process. So on site, he ran them through the process. Just scan the QR code. They could access all that information, the COVID safety plans, his site-specific management plan and his details, and how he managed the inductions and his digital forms, all from site, or just from his phone.
Yeah, like I keep saying, it's just everyone's become used to it. Even the oldies now know how to get out their digital wallet. They have to
Yeah,
when they go into a restaurant. So they know how to navigate these apps and be able to use them easily and practically.
yeah. And it's just changing that mindset. So once people get their head around it and they know how to use it, they love it. It's just changing that mindset of, paperwork, one, that's not getting used. But, once it's an easy process, they download the app, they've got access to all the digital forms and they can submit them there and then and get any details they need. It's just a digital site folder for those guys on site. It just makes it simple and easy.
I think also too, the world has changed. I mean, I remember it was probably going back 10 years ago where businesses almost had to have these authorized safety consultants that did all their work health safety management plans and things like that. Whereas technology is now evolved, and most of it, except for when you're dealing with a sensitive site or a challenging site or something that's different about the site or potentially the client site that you're working on. If it's a large commercial site, they might have certain mandates that you have to abide by. But essentially, at the end of the day, they're all the same. The
Mm.
industry's shifted so much now where we know what to expect. We know the different swims that we have to have in place. So it becomes, I guess, that challenge of a business owner being able to keep on track of that record keeping that we've been talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, for us, that's our whole goal, So just to automate that process, streamline it, and just make it so much simpler for both the PCBU, the contractor, and the worker on site. So having all those details on hand on site, and pretty much turnkey product that they can use straight away when they get on board, it's definitely going to make it simpler and easier for the industry.
Do most guys customize their documents, or is it a case of, oh, you beauty, Worx Inductions have given me some templates and I'll just use those?
Yeah, we definitely do. Like we've got large cleaning companies, so we kind of tailor their specific needs for their industry. So we'll grab their employment details, we'll set up specific inductions for those companies. Then in turn, we can do additional inductions as well. So say they had a specific induction for that company. If they had another large project, we can set up a separate induction, which is just done the same. It's just done online, and the guys in the portal can either just do it on their phone or do it at home on the computer, just in time that suits them.
So it's pretty easy. They could just be at home on the lounge or in bed at night saying, well, I need to go to a hospital site tomorrow where my COVID safe plan has to be the bee's knees.
Yep.
And I can do that at night. I can do that tonight. So then by the time my staff arrive tomorrow morning, I'll run them through the induction. They might have already done it while they're having breakfast in the morning before they went to work.
Yeah, and that's like, if they can do it at home in their own time, by the time they get to work, you don't want them sitting around for an hour in a site shed doing an induction. If they can do it, they get to site, they scan the QR code, recognises that they've completed the induction, and then they can go in, get their job done, what they need to do. So otherwise, if they are on site, they can sit down and just do it on their phone, and it's a digital record.
What sort of challenges have you seen lately in terms of guys navigating these sorts of complexities going on with inductions and their COVID safe plans?
Yeah, it's definitely like that environment at the moment with COVID. It was just the uncertainty. No one really knew what was going to happen, how to approach it, and how to move forward with it. Like what was their requirements, what was their needs, and what did they need to have on site. So I think now we've kind of moved past that aspect with COVID, and we're moving back towards the standard kind of processes. But having those systems in place definitely at the moment with the COVID safe plans on site to manage their systems. Yeah.
So we were talking earlier about pricing with this thing, and we've got a basic package, a standard package, and then more of a premium one for customizing sort of employees or employers and their contractors induction. So for the people listening to this who want to sort of understand how that works, can you take us through that pricing structure?
Yeah, definitely. So it's like for the system and what it does, it's definitely a cheap product for what it's going to give the clients and those host employers. So it's a $199 a month. So annually, it's $238 plus GST, which if you look to have a girl in the office that's kind of managing that, or site supervisors managing it, it's definitely a big cost saving for them.
For sure.
And having the system in place. So from there, it just tiers up to the next pricing structure, depending on the number of inductees and contractors.
Which is a big step up. Like I think I was reading, so the basic, the starter package that we talked about, which is $199 a month, that gets you sort of a single induction, and that covers up to 250 people basically.
Yep.
Which is a lot of people. So, and then the next step up beyond that's up to 1,000. So it's quite practical, really.
Yeah, exactly. Like for our residential builders, that basic package covers them for their needs and requirements. So it's pretty rare that we've got a small residential builder that's going to exceed that number. Then if they do, we just jump them up to the next package, which is $349 a month. So which is still good value for what they're going to get out of the product.
What about training with this, Glenn? Like, does it take long to get sort of up to speed with how this program works?
Nah, through the onboarding, like when we're setting up the clients, we've got a section in there for training and alerts. So it's a very easy and simple system. So it's just safety alerts. You can select a project. Say there was a COVID case or something like that, you can select the people that signed into that project. send them through a notification, then everything's tracked and logged into the system. So
What about like a way of a hazard reporting system? Like if I was running a site and I had, like, we've just excavated a big hole or something and we've put our posts up and danger tape around it, can I take a photo of it and sort of send it out to the guys on site, just like you would if there was a COVID alert?
yeah, definitely. So say in that scenario, like if you've got a large excavation, you can single out that contractor, or there was someone else that needs to be singled out. You can take the photos, put a detail in there, send it through to that contractor, which notifies them of that hazard. Put attachments in there as well, and then it's all logged and registered in the system as well. So another scenario, you had scaffolding on site. You've got a painter who keeps taking the scaffold, dismantling it, moving it around, and then leaving it in an unsafe manner. You take photos of that, address the issue, send it through to the painter, so he's notified of it. He gets an email and it's notified in the system, and then it's tracked and registered in the system as well.
Like a record that they've been notified, so they avoid that hole in the ground or that scaffolding until it gets fixed, essentially.
Yeah, the alert's been sent, and then the system recognises that they've seen it and they've opened that notification or hazard, and then in the portal it's tracked. So down the track you can view it if you need to in the future. So same with training. So usually we recommend to our clients just doing like a monthly safety alert or training. So whatever it might be, we've got some standard recordings we've got. So it might be forklift safety, safe work with asbestos, safe use of ladders, or whatever it might be. We recommend sending out that monthly training in the portal, which gets sent through to whoever it might be, the workers or contractors or everyone in the system. And it's the same thing. It's all viewed and tracked in the portal.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point there, Glenn, because I've seen firsthand when these guys carry out audits and say, "All right, son, show me your work health safety management system or plan that you legally are obliged to have."
Yep.
You just can't dig out like the old days, dig out a folder that's been put in the bottom drawer, and you've had a couple of guys just sign it. Like, you actually have to, I guess, prove that you have been proactive in operating under this work health and safety management system, and you've had regular audits on site. So if you've almost a track history of a hazard reporting system. So like you said, to be able to have a bit of a library, if you like, of hot topics, forklift safety or asbestos, whatever it might be, these are the kinds of things that you can say, righto, troops, you've sent it out automatically to their phones. You don't need to worry about, I guess, going through it and teaching them that. They read it, they acknowledge it, they understand it, and you get a copy back to say, well, look, that person's understood the latest information about forklift safety on sites or things to that nature.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's called in the system, View Tracker. So you click on that, it tracks everyone in the system that it's been sent out to, time, date, and stamped when it's been viewed. And then it's in the system to be viewed at any time. So, and especially for workers and contractors too, they can get access to that information down the track. So if they want to review anything that's been sent through to them in relation to training, they can go back and they can access it and watch the video or whatever it might be relating to that issue.
And then on site, like if I'm a delivery driver or something and delivering a one-off door, is there like a QR code on site I can scan, go through the induction, and then that's it? Simple as that?
Yeah, we usually, just with the visitor side of it, we usually just do it with a digital form. So if we had a visitor come to site, we just do the site checks of the hazards, no-go zones and all that through the digital form.
So you could have like a generic visitor induction for your particular site.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just say, hey, mate, if he calls up, if the frame and truss guy calls up and says I'm an hour away, you can send the link to his phone number and say, no worries, when you pull over for a hamburger or something or a meat pie, here's you've got to sign this before you come.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, you meet pie, just jump on and complete this form for us.
That's right.
And which is the same thing. It's just a digital form. So
Yeah.
you submit that, sign off that they agree to everything for that specific site, and then it's submitted, saved in the portal.
It's, as I say, it's a very interesting and emerging area of expertise, and people navigating the complexities of what do I need to do in terms of inductions. And the short answer is that there's never enough that you can do. There's always something that gets missed. So it's about risk mitigation and having the fundamentals right, that you've at least conveyed the information, you've been proactive and ongoing in managing risk, eliminating risk, recognizing risk, and at the end of the day, you've got a record that people have understood, that have read everything that you've sent them and acknowledged it, and that may or may not stop a potential injury or a hazard eventuating, but it's all about mitigating those risks and reducing as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's having that tool set for that PCBU to have. Like, I know if I had that product after I come out of finishing my builder's license, if I had that tool kit there ready to go, it would have been a game changer. It would have been so much easier for me to move forward and provide a safe, number one, a safe working environment on site for myself, for my workers, and also my contractors, and having that reassurance that when my contractors get to site, yes, I've got all their contractor information, I've got their license, they've got their workers' comp, they've got the public liability, everything's in date. If it wasn't, I'd get notified through the portal, and you can just quicker and easier to move on with the jobs on site.
Is Worx Inductions available nationally and internationally, or is that something that you're looking at?
Yes, the Worx Inductions is available Australia-wide. So anywhere in Australia or worldwide, really, it could be accessed and used. So there's no restrictions between any states or, in other areas. It's definitely Australia-wide. So we do have different clients in WA, Victoria, Queensland, all using the portal. So
And what about, are you able to track whether people are on site with your software, or are you able to see, have they checked in for the day, or how does that work?
yeah, in the portal, so through projects, we usually set up QR codes for the clients. So it's a live sign-in register. So once a worker gets to site and he scans that QR code, for the admin in the office, they can do a live check on that site. So as soon as someone scans that, could be wherever it is, Queensland, if the office is in Sydney, they'll see that live sign-in register of that worker that's signed in, time, date, and stamped.
So if you've got a subbie and you're paying them on an hourly rate, you can actually go in and use that software to be able to say, well, he was there at 6:58 a.m. ready to go, or he didn't get there until 7:25, so I'm only going to pay him from 7.
Yeah, that's right. So it'll tell you what projects. So when they've scanned the QR code, it'll give them a drop down of what project they're going to be working on. They select that project and then they sign into site. So you'll be able to see it through the register in the portal of the exact time and location of when they're signed in.
What does Glenn like to do outside of work when you're not busy running Worx Inductions?
Few beers, and surf. Saltwater therapy for me.
It is good for the soul.
Yeah, it is very good for the soul. So surfing, and being around family, and just enjoying life. So we live, in a beautiful part of the world, and the more we can get down the beach and enjoy that, the better.
All right. Well, Glenn from Worx Inductions, it's been really nice to record this and sit down and have a chat with you. So I appreciate you coming on the show, and look forward to seeing this rolled out even more, and you guys becoming a recognised face in the industry for your software.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and I really appreciate you having us on the show and talk about the system.
No worries. Now, if people listen to this who want to get into contact with you guys and sign up, what's the best way to go about it?
So the best way to get in contact with us is just via the website. So it's worxinductions.com.au. That's Worx, WORX. Or you can give us a call on 1300 995 223.
All right. Excellent. Well, thanks again, Glenn. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that was another Build Hatch episode with myself and Glen from Worx Inductions. I encourage you to jump on board and check out their affordable plans and solutions available to anyone in the building business. As usual, please check out our Instagram page and other socials where you'll be able to learn more about a guest and some of the features of the work that we talk about. Have a great week, and you'll hear me again on the airwaves next week. Thanks for listening to another episode of Build Hatch.
You have experienced a Build Hatch developed production.